before anyone hears your story. A number may already be speaking for you. You may be sitting in an office, holding documents, ready to explain, but somewhere on a screen, the system has already started forming an opinion about your life. Before your voice enters the room, you apply for an apartment. The landlord does not only see your face, a screening system checks old addresses, payment history, court records, background data, and sometimes records that may not even describe you correctly or completely, but still follow you. Then a quiet signal appears: approve, review, reject, ask for more proof. No one has to say, "I do not trust you." The score says it for them, cleanly, politely, and without needing to explain itself to anyone. You apply for a loan. The bank may like your plan, your job, and your reason, but first it sees your score. That score can change your interest rate, your limit, your waiting time, or the answer itself before your plan is heard. You apply for a job. Before a human reads your story, software may scan your resume. It may rank your school, your words, your gaps, and your job history, then decide whether your name reaches a real person at all. The scene changes, but the feeling is the same. You are ready to explain yourself. The system is already reading a simplified version of you. You ask for public help. A system checks your forms, income, address, and past records. A missed online notice, a late document, or one mismatch can become the reason your case stops before anyone hears what actually happened. You stand before a judge. A risk assessment tool may place a number beside your name. That number may shape bail, supervision, sentencing, or how dangerous the system believes you might become in the future, even before anything has happened. This is not the AI most people imagine. It does not look like a robot. It does not talk like a chatbot. It does not announce itself as power. It appears quietly, inside ordinary decisions, as a score. The hidden system is not AI itself. It is the institutional habit of turning uncertainty into a number and then treating that number as authority. The machine gives the score. The institution gives the score power. A score feels simple. One number, one category. Low risk, high risk, eligible, ineligible, approved, denied. But behind that number is a long chain of choices about what counts, what disappears, and what gets ignored. That is why scoring feels so clean from the outside and so frightening from the inside. It can turn a complicated life into a simple answer. What data matters? What history is forgiven? What mistake becomes permanent? What pattern is treated as danger? What kind of life is seen as normal? And what kind of life is quietly marked as risky, suspicious, or less trustworthy? The score looks neutral because it looks mathematical, but numbers do not fall from the sky. They are built from old records, old decisions, past inequalities, office habits, business goals, and human assumptions hidden inside systems. That is why the score can feel so powerful. It does not shout, it does not argue, it simply appears on a screen, and the person across the desk begins to trust it more than your explanation. Once life becomes a score, the question changes. It is no longer simply, "Who are you?" It becomes, "What does the number say?" The person must explain themselves. The score does not explain itself. To understand why this happened, we need to be fair for a moment. Institutions love scores for a reason. Scores promise speed, order, consistency, and a way to handle too many people at once. The promise is not always fake. The danger begins when convenience for the institution becomes silence for the person being judged. A city has too many applications. A court has too many cases. A bank has too many borrowers. A school has too many students. A welfare office has too many files, too few workers, and too little time. A human worker gets tired. A human worker can be unfair. A human worker may favor someone who speaks well, dresses well, knows the rules, or looks familiar to the people already in power. So the score arrives with a promise. Let the machine help. Let it compare everyone the same way. Let it remove emotion, confusion, favoritism, pressure, and the messy weakness of human judgment. In theory, that promise is not foolish. Some scoring systems can help. A medical warning can catch a dangerous pattern. A pollution score can prove that a neglected neighborhood needs public investment. A good system can make hidden harm visible. If a community has dirty air, poor health, and fewer resources, A careful score can show that the burden is real and deserves repair, money, and attention. So this is not a simple story of evil machines. It is a story about what happens when useful tools become unquestioned authority. So the problem is not simply math. The problem begins when a score becomes more trusted than the person, more powerful than the explanation, and harder to question than a human decision. A score can compress a life into a symbol. It can turn a family into a risk category, a worker into a ranking, a student into a prediction, and a patient into a cost estimate. This is useful for the institution. It is fast, it scales, it makes messy lives easier to process. But what helps an office manage complexity can make a human being smaller and easier to dismiss. Think of a child's report card. A number can tell you something, but it cannot show fear, hunger, grief, effort, illness, family trouble, or a teacher who stopped paying attention. Now imagine that kind of number moving into housing, policing, welfare, hiring, insurance, healthcare, and justice. The stakes are no longer just a grade. They are shelter, freedom, care, and survival. At that point, a bad score is not just a bad description. It can become a locked door, a missing service, or a future quietly taken away. The danger is not that a score is always wrong. The danger is that even when it is wrong, it can still look official, scientific, neutral, and difficult for an ordinary person to challenge. This is the hidden system behind AI scoring. It turns uncertainty into a number, then it turns the number into authority, then it asks the person to live with the result. The first people tested by these systems are often not the powerful. They are often people with the least room for error: poor families, disabled people, unemployed workers, immigrants, and people asking for public help. This is why some writers call it the Digital Poorhouse. The old poorhouse was a physical place of control. The new one can be a portal, a database, a call center, or an automated notice. A person does not always lose help because someone hates them. Sometimes they lose help because a form was missed, a letter was late, a phone call failed, or a system marked them as uncooperative. The language sounds neutral, but behind it may be a broken phone, a moved address, a sick child, or no internet connection at all. The setting changes. The pattern does not. In Indiana, the state signed a massive contract to automate welfare eligibility. The promise was efficiency, less paperwork, faster decisions, and a modern system. But the result was harsh. Many applications were denied. Families were cut off. The system often treated missing paperwork or missed contact as a problem with the person, not with the process. Imagine needing food assistance, but the notice goes to the wrong address. Imagine calling for help, but the call center cannot fix the case. Imagine being told that the computer says no. For a comfortable person, a technical mistake is annoying. For a poor person, it can mean an empty fridge, late rent, lost medicine, a power shut-off, or a child going without basic needs. That is the difference between inconvenience and disaster. A broken system does not hurt everyone equally. It hurts hardest where life already has very little cushion, and one mistake can become a crisis. Automation does not remove consequences. It often moves them away from the people who designed the system and onto the people least able to absorb the damage. The room changes. The mechanism stays. Michigan's unemployment system, called MIDAS, used automation to detect fraud. It flagged many people as cheaters, and some lost tax refunds, wages, savings, and peace of mind. But thousands were falsely accused. The machine found fraud where there was no fraud. People who had already lost jobs were suddenly treated as if they had stolen from the state. Think about that feeling. You lose your job. You ask for help. Then the system says you're the problem, not unemployed, not struggling, not unlucky, guilty. To fight back, a person needs time, documents, confidence, internet access, legal help, and emotional energy. But the people most harmed by the system often have the least of those things. The institution creates the accusation. Then the person must prove the institution is wrong. That reversal matters. In many automated systems, the burden moves to the person with the least power. This is where a score becomes more than information. It becomes an accusation, and the human being must climb back out of a decision they did not make. Another system, the same quiet judgment. In Arkansas, another algorithm affected disabled people who needed home care. The system sorted people into care groups and changed their weekly hours. For someone who needs help bathing, eating, dressing, or getting out of bed, a cut in care hours is not just a budget change. It is a change in daily life. One person may look like a data point inside a spreadsheet, but that data point may be a woman waiting for someone to help her out of bed. Score is abstract, the need is physical. The machine may say this person needs fewer hours. The person may say, I cannot safely live with fewer hours. The conflict is simple. The body knows what the formula cannot feel. The designer may see a dashboard, the agency may see a budget. The person at home feels the missing hour, the unsafe shower, the skipped meal, and the fear of being alone. This is why the word efficiency can be dangerous to an office. It may mean fewer hours approved. To a person, it may mean less safety and less dignity. The institution changes, the pattern survives. Child welfare systems have also used risk models in Allegheny County. Screening tool gives a family a score from 1 to 20 using public system data. The goal is serious: protect children. Help caseworkers decide which calls need attention. No one should pretend child safety is simple, but the data often comes from unequal places. Poor families often use public clinics, public benefits, public housing, and public services. Their lives leave more official data behind. Wealthier families can often use private doctors, therapists, and help. So a poor family can become more visible to the machine, not because it is more dangerous, but because it has needed more public support and has touched more public systems. That is a deep problem. The system may think it is measuring risk, but sometimes it is also measuring poverty, exposure, public contact, and the fact that some people cannot stay invisible. A family is not a spreadsheet. Poverty is not the same as bad parenting, and asking for help should not become the reason a family is watched more closely. When public support creates more data about poor families, help can become a trap for the people who need it. The more they touch the system, the more visible they become to future scoring. The setting changes, the pattern does not. Nowhere does a score feel heavier than in the justice system, where numbers can sit beside questions of freedom, punishment, supervision, and danger. One well-known tool is Compass. It has been used to estimate the risk that a person may commit another offense. The tool asks many questions and creates a risk score. Some questions are not directly about race. They may ask about family history, friends, neighborhood, school, work, and past contact with the system, but those things are not neutral. A question about friends can also be a question about neighborhood. A question about family can also be a question about poverty. The form looks individual, but the answers carry social history. This is the quiet danger of proxy data. The system may avoid a forbidden word, but still rebuild the same category through nearby facts. If a neighborhood has been heavily policed for years, its records will look different. More stops, more arrests, more court contact, more data that can look like personal risk. A person may carry the shadow of a place, a school, a family, or a history they did not choose. The score can make that shadow look like personal danger. Investigations into Compass found serious racial disparities in false warnings. Black defendants who did not reoffend were more often labeled high risk than white defendants who did not reoffend. This does not require a villain writing racist code. That is the harder truth. A system can create unfair results by using data born from an unfair world. This is called proxy. If race is removed, the system may still learn race through nearby signals. Zip code, income, school, credit, arrests, family records, and neighborhood history. The label disappears, but the pattern remains. Removing one column from the data does not remove the society that produced the data. For a 10-year-old, think of it this way. If you never ask who owns a dog, but you ask who buys dog food, leashes, and chew toys, you can still guess. The machine may not ask the forbidden question, but it can still find the answer through nearby clues. Removing one label does not remove the world that produced the data. Predictive policing shows another problem. Tools like Predpol tried to predict where crime might happen next. Police were given small boxes on a map and told where to patrol. The idea sounded scientific. Use past crime data, find patterns, send officers where risk is high. But past crime data is often not pure crime data. It is also policing data. If police have spent years patrolling one neighborhood more than another, that neighborhood will naturally produce more recorded arrests. The data says danger, but it may also say attention. A map can look objective. But if the inputs come from unequal attention, The map may simply tell power where it has already been looking. Then the algorithm sends police back to the same place. More police means more stops. More stops mean more arrests. More arrests become new data. The loop feeds itself. This is a feedback loop. The system predicts risk, sends power toward that risk, creates more records there, and then uses those records to prove that it was right. Imagine a teacher only checking one row of students for mistakes. That row will have the most recorded mistakes. A computer may then say this row is the trouble row. The same thing can happen in policing. The score may not reveal where harm is greatest. It may reveal where the state has looked the hardest and recorded the most. When these systems are private, another problem appears. The person affected by the score may not know how the score was made, what data mattered, or what error changed the result. A company may call the formula a trade secret. The score has power in public life, but its logic can remain hidden from the person it affects. And the same logic does not stay in courts and welfare offices. It spreads into ordinary life, housing, jobs, schools, healthcare, insurance, credit, and online services. The room changes. The mechanism stays. In each place, a score can appear before the person does. It can shape who gets seen, who gets delayed, and who is quietly pushed aside. In housing, tenant screening systems can search past records and rank applicants. A dismissed case, old debt, wrong match, thin file, or shared name can follow a person into the next application. A family may be rejected not because a landlord met them and said no, but because software marked someone in the household as risky before anyone heard the full story. For that family, this is not an abstract debate about data. It is another application fee lost, another month of searching, and maybe a child sleeping in a crowded room. The rejection may come from an office, but the cost is paid at home. It becomes rent stress, school disruption, and another door that will not open. In hiring, Amazon once tested an AI recruiting tool and later dropped it after finding it disadvantaged women. The system had learned from old hiring patterns, and old patterns carried old bias. That example matters because it shows how bias can be inherited. The machine studies the past. If the past rewarded one group more than another, the future it recommends may repeat that pattern. In schools, scoring can decide more than grades. During the pandemic, England used an exam algorithm that lowered many teacher-provided grades with harsh effects for students from lower-income schools. A student may have worked hard. A teacher may have believed in them, but the system looked at the school's history and said students from here usually do not score that high. That is one of the most painful forms of scoring. It does not only judge what you did, it judges what people like you, from a place like yours, usually do. The past reaches forward and becomes a ceiling. A student is not only judged by their work, but by the history attached to their institution. In healthcare, one widely discussed algorithm used past health spending as a clue for medical need. But spending is not the same as sickness, and cost is not the same as care. If one group has faced barriers to care, it may have spent less money in the past while still needing more help. The score can mistake lack of access for lack of need. In credit, newer systems may use alternative data, not only repayment history but online behavior, location, devices, and other signals. This can help some people with thin credit files. But it also means more of life becomes evidence. The phone you use, the neighborhood you live in, the time you apply, the websites you visit. Small traces become financial signals. Insurance can also score risk. A company wants to know who may cost more. That may sound practical. But if the data reflects unequal roads, housing, work, and health, the price can punish history. The company may say it is pricing risk. The person may experience it as being charged more for conditions they did not create. Public housing has also seen digital access systems. Facial recognition may sound convenient, but if it misidentifies some residents more often, home itself can become a locked door. Imagine standing outside the building where you live because the machine does not recognize your face to the system. It is a security error. To you, it is your front door. Even marketing uses scores. Some data systems sort people into groups that sound harmless, then target vulnerable people with payday loans, expensive products, or offers that keep them in trouble. The pattern is not always one dramatic rejection. It is often smaller: a worse loan, a higher price, a missing service, a delayed application, or a door that opens for others first. That is how scoring changes life. not always with one giant wall, but with many small slopes. Each one pushes some people forward and others backward, often without explanation. There may be no single villain and no single dramatic moment, just a life made slower, more expensive, and harder to move through. So what is the real problem? It is not that every algorithm is evil. It is not that every score is useless. Some scores can reveal harm and help distribute resources more fairly. CalEnviroscreen is one example of a more defensible use. It scores pollution and social burden to help direct public investment toward communities that have carried too much environmental harm. That matters. A score can be used to punish, but it can also be used to prove need. The same tool can become a gate or a map toward repair. The question is not simply, is there a number? The better question is, who built it? What data fed it? Who can challenge it? And who pays when it is wrong? A fair system needs more than accuracy. It needs transparency, appeal, human judgment, and people affected by the score having a voice in how the score is used. Without those protections, accuracy can become a mask for power. A system can predict patterns while ignoring why those patterns exist. If a child gets a bad grade, they can ask the teacher what happened. They can look at the test. They can learn from the mistake. A hidden score gives no such lesson. A hidden score can say no without explaining itself. It can move through databases. It can follow a person from one office to another. It can become reputation without conversation. This is why opacity is so dangerous. The person sees the result but not the path. They feel the closed door but cannot find the key. The invisible pattern is not that machines make decisions. It is that institutions begin to trust the score before they hear the person. AI makes this faster, wider, cheaper, and easier to hide. A life is not a score. A person is not a risk category. A score can measure part of a life, but it should never be allowed to replace the life itself. The future should not belong to systems that judge people before they are heard. It should belong to systems that can be questioned, corrected, and made accountable.